What's going on, guys? Toxin here with another video, and today I want to report on something that I covered in my last video, which was the Nintendo Switch 2 games having compatibility issues with some of the Carbon Engine games from Limited Run Games. If you updated to the latest console this week, you will notice that that has been patched. The games that were not working have now been fixed, at least the ones that I have tested. Now, when I had tested this, it was River City Girls Zero, which is an SNES ROM port, over to the Nintendo Switch. I got a black screen, and then sometimes I would get a blue screen. Also, people have reported that Tomba Special Edition from Limited Run Games was also not working, and again, it is a Carbon Engine title game. That has been fixed. I can safely report to you guys that it is now working. So that's great news. Thanks for that. Also, I want to talk about the game key cards because it's been reported that the game key cards are not selling well at all. Now, me personally, I do not like the game key cards. I will not be buying any game that is packaged inside of an empty box, or I'm not going to be buying a cart that has a cartridge in it with no data on it. That's just a waste of plastic. It is stupid, and the whole thing about putting something in your console and then it not doing anything is just a waste, because it's a pain in the ass to switch cartridges out, which is why a lot of people opt to go for digital media. But I'm not a fan of digital media. I still buy digital games, but the whole reason I collect for the Switch is because it's the last console that feels like a real home console. We already know that this has been going on for a while with other consoles like the PlayStation. We know that you put the disc in there and it basically installs half the game, and you still have to download a whole lot of data from the internet. Just because other consoles do it doesn't mean that it's okay, and it's sad to see that Nintendo was going that route. But this is for the third-party developers. So if we look here, these are the third-party titles that have been using the game keycards, and you can see one common thing. Now, this is using Japanese box art, and you can tell by the ESRB rating. It's not ESRB, it's the Japanese version, which is Cero, C-E-R-O. Nonetheless, they are all game keycards. Now, a lot of these games are older games, okay? And these games are keycards. They don't have data on the cartridge, or maybe they do, but it's not the full game, which, again, is a waste. Now, I did buy Puyo Pop Tetris 2. However, I did not buy this empty box. I did not buy this useless keycard. I bought it digital. And again, Street Fighter 6, all digital. Now, you do have to buy an SD Express card. You're not going to be able to use your standard SD card, so you're going to have to go out and buy a card for at least $50 to $60, depending on the size, up to $80 or $100. Again, that depends on the brand. But if you buy a card key, right, you're going to end up filling up a large portion of that SD card with game data. And then what's the freaking point, right? So what I do like about the Switch 2 is that it does have a decent amount of hard drive space on it. And then if you get yourself another 256 card, you'll be set. But again, these games are large in size and they can quickly fill up if you're going all digital. Street Fighter 6, that's a shame. That's coming from Capcom. And then we have a couple Sega titles here, right? We have 3 Sega titles. It looks like Sega's going all in on the keycards. Shame on you, Sega. Now, I do recommend some of these games. These are great games if you don't have them already. I have all these games. And the reason I bought Sonic and Shadow Generations on the PS5 was because the original Switch 1 hardware is complete garbage. It's kind of sad that a lot of games on the Nintendo Switch 1 could not perform at basic minimum system requirements, even for its own first-party hardware like the Nintendo Switch. We all know the issues with the Nintendo Switch 1, where a lot of games ran at very poor frame rates or very odd frame rates, like 34 or 37 FPS. They weren't locked. You couldn't get a Sonic the Hedgehog game to run properly, which is pathetic. Like, the fact that you couldn't get a Sonic game to run on a Nintendo Switch, it ran like garbage. You're getting frame drops, you're getting really anti-aliasing issues. That really pissed me off. So I did buy Shadow Generations for the PS5 for the full 60 FPS. It does have a performance mode. I always go for performance. I don't care about the graphics. I do want them to look decent, but a smooth gameplay experience is more important to me than having a crappy running frame rate just so it could look nicer and sharper. It's not why I play games. When it comes to quality, I want movies to look better because they're movies, but for interactive software, you want things to perform well. Like, you want games to have as much minimal input lag as possible, right? For games that use QuickTime events or just fast-paced games like Sonic where you're jumping, you want to time your jumps and get those correctly. So again, just stay away from the game key cards. I am not going to be buying any game key cards. I'm also not going to be buying any of those $80 games. I'm just not. even if I really want the games. I mean, some of the games coming out are not even really worth 80 bucks. Look at Kirby. They have a Kirby game listed at 80 bucks. Who's gonna buy a Kirby game at $80? When have you ever played any Kirby game in your life that was worth 80 bucks? So that's a big fat no. Skip it. Now, if the third-party developer starts to move away from the game key cards because they see that they're not selling selling very well, they might do two things. They might put the full game on the cartridge, or they might just skip it completely and go all digital. Either way, I'm glad to see that people are not buying it. Again, with the $80 games, I think a lot of people bought the Mario Kart because that was the first initial real launch game for the Switch 2. There's not much out there, but as time goes by, people are not going to have a lot of money to be spending on these $80 games if it's going to be a common thing. You might see some game sales for your birthday and Christmas, but throughout the year, I don't think these are going to be selling very well. That's just my guess. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. We'll see later down the line when the sales data comes out. Now I want to talk about some special edition games from limited run games. The collector's editions, these things are getting way too expensive. Now if you look here at limited run games, this is the Shinobi Art of the Vengeance. This is $199. And this is pretty expensive, but this is kind of standard for some of their collector's editions now, the big box ones. And I'm talking about the really big square boxes. It comes with everything you usually get with the collector's edition, right? It comes with a very nice Shinobi statue. It comes with an art book, a steel book, that's always standard, right? You always get a statue, you always get a steel book, and you always get an art book. And 90% of the time you also get the soundtrack. This one also comes with a little art piece right here, the Sega Genesis style box, which is always my favorite, and then you get the big giant square box. I did buy, back in the day, the Streets of Rage 4 box, but it wasn't $200. I had an issue with the Sonic Cross Shadow Generations because that was extremely expensive, and I couldn't justify buying that as much as I wanted it. I can't sit here and wait over a year and a half for something that's going to cost me almost 300 bucks. Now, you might be able to swing with the $199. But if we scroll up and look at, let's say, the Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, again, $199 for the PC version and $249 for the Switch and PS5 version, the console versions, the Xbox, PS5, Switch. Now this is egregious because it's $50 more than the PC version and it comes with the same stuff. Now again, this is a really cool package. You get a very nice statue, a Sonic rear view mirror dangler, which I definitely want. You get another keychain, a car emblem, the soundtrack, you get the art book, the steel book, all that fun stuff. What's really interesting about this one is that it comes with a 24 card set, all foil. I really like this, and it comes with a little fake Sonic the Hedgehog driver's license. Now this is really cool. I really want this, but Jesus freaking Christ, man, 250 bucks. This is getting out of control. Again, with limited run games, you already know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get an email 7-8 months later saying, hey, we're pushing back the date. It always happens. Now, if they took the money when the game came out, that would be one thing, but the fact that they take your money up front and then you don't ever get to see your thing until maybe almost a year later, sometimes over a year later, even up to 2 years later, it's completely unacceptable. Limited Run also changed over to Purple Dot. Their previous finance company allowed you to pay in 4 using those things like Best Buy, PayPal Pay in 4. But now they got rid of that, so you can't do that. So now you have to use an actual credit card or you have to pay in full, but there's no more split payments, which is completely ridiculous for something that you're going to be waiting a very long time for. Want to talk about the Donkey Kong also. The new Donkey Kong game came out in a little Switch, little Nintendo Direct, and it looked really fun. It looked very interesting. I'm really interested in the gameplay mechanics because this one threw me for a loop. I really wasn't expecting there to be a skill tree in the Donkey Kong game. It's an open world Donkey Kong 64 style platformer, looks like Mario Odyssey, and you even get destructible environments. Now this time you don't get to ride creatures, you transform into creatures with the help of Pauline, who looks to be now a small child, but it's very cute. I like those little dynamics, you know, you see that in Wreck-It Ralph. and a lot of other cartoons and media where you get the big protagonist and the small female character who's your companion. It is very, very cute. So I had fun with it. I thought it was adorable. It looked very fun. You know, we get to see some characters come back like Cranky Kong and Rambi the Rhino. We also got to see Diddy and Dixie in the trailer, though they were very quickly thrown in there, so a lot of people thought that they weren't in the game, but if you paid attention, you saw them at least 2 or 3 times in the trailer. You also get to wear clothes in this game, but you can take them off, you can customize your outfits, you can customize your colors. I'm really interested in this Donkey Kong game, so after seeing that direct, I went ahead and pre-ordered it. Now, let's talk about the amiibos. They didn't release the price of the amiibos, but if you go into your local GameStop and ask them, because when I pre-ordered, they asked me if I wanted the amiibos. I asked him how much were the amiibos, and he told me they were $30, so I said, no thank you, I don't want it. I'm really upset with this. Now, I heard that the Tears of the Kingdoms amiibos were also $30. Some people are saying it's because of tariffs. I don't believe that, but if it is, then it doesn't really matter to me because I'm not paying $30 for a piece of plastic. When the amiibos first came out, they were not $30. I think they were like 12 or 13 up, and then they went up to 20, and then it just kept getting out of control. So I am not going to be buying any amiibos. If it's more than $20, it is a no-go. I'm sorry. Just to put them on my shelf and look at them for they collect dust, and that's one more thing that I have to dust. No thanks, not gonna do it. Anyway, guys, that's it for this episode of Talks and Talks Shit, right? Or whatever this is. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, become a channel member, all that good stuff. Leave a super thanks. I'm trying to grow the channel. It is what it is, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.